Before we get into the podcast today, I want to thank today's sponsors. First of which is the Gallery. This year we're all looking for that perfect holiday gift, and today I want to tell you about the Gallery. The Gallery Shop is a curated collection of photographs from around the world. All prints are made from 100% recycled aluminum, giving your wall that gallery finish. Right now for the holiday season, the Gallery is exclusively offering our listeners 25% off your next purchase using the code INEBRIAR. That's 25% off your next purchase at thegallery.com. That's the GALRY using the code INEBRIAR. The Gallery to create your perfect space. Second of all, our returning sponsor is the Pretentious Pickle. Hannah, do you know about the Pretentious Pickle?
Yes.
You didn't know I was going to bring you. Did I?
No,
surprise you? Okay, so the Pretentious Pickle is a local shop down here on Water Street in Plymouth. They are located at 190 Water Street. And Hannah, you're just telling us that your sister's a huge fan.
She loves the Pretentious Pickle.
Yeah.
She's a big fan.
Nice.
I don't want to say number one, but she's up there.
Well, it's hard to be the number one fan. They're super popular. They do a weekly giveaway on their Facebook page.
Yeah.
And they get thousands of people entering it. So if you're a fan of pickles, and it's not just cucumbers, it's all pickled vegetables and assorted local things, bakery items, farm to table type stuff. Make sure you check out their website, thepretentiouspickle.com. And you can find them at 190 Water Street, Plymouth, Mass. And tell Lorraine we sent you. Happy holidays from the Bar Talk podcast. I am your host, Andy of Inebriard. I am here with Jordan of the Speedwell Tavern. Thank you for having that on your shirt, so I would know. And Karl Heine of the New World Tavern.
Hello, everybody.
So it's just kind of a stripped down show today.
Yeah, stripper show.
Yeah, stripper show. So I figure we can talk about. There's lots of stuff going on, and we're headed into a new year, and. Talk about New Year's Eve. Mm-hmm. What's that? I mean, so I don't know about the rest of the country, but right now we have a 10 p.m. curfew.
9:30.
Well,
right?
It's
restaurants 9:30.
You're supposed to be closed at 9:30 so people can be home by 10.
I don't know the rules anymore, obviously.
Yeah. Well, they change so friggin' often. It's yeah. What do you? I mean, obviously, New Year's is a big time. Are you expecting no turnout? Do you think people are going to be home throwing their own parties? Do you think people are going to be responsible?
I think it's going to be a lot of house parties. But that's what the governor's trying to stop.
I know.
But when you close down all the restaurants and bars for people to go out, then what else are they going to do? But these young kids are going to go to each other's houses.
They want to be able to stand and drink and cheers and all that. And
you can't do that at 9:30.
You can't. Yeah, right. You can't. We got to close at 9:30, right. So we're not even going to have a ball drop. That's going to be so fucking weird. I get it. I understand. The rules are starting to get a little convoluted for me, but I'm trying to stay positive and not, get angry about it. But I think takeout's going to be nuts. I think we'll get a lot of takeout early on. It kind of sucks that they got to get their takeout at. I don't know. People eat early and then they celebrate later. But yeah, takeout will be good. I think both of us have menus that'll be good for that. Pretzels are a great thing to share and all that.
Yeah, you might get a dinner rush, but
yeah, and I doubt it. Honestly, because New Year's Eve isn't what it used to be. When I first started working in restaurants about 13 years ago, when I was actually working bars, New Year's Eve was huge. People went out, and I think I don't know what happened, but over the last 12, 13 years, it's just, I don't know if it's the young crowd doesn't give a shit like the our age people did.
Yeah.
They just don't care. They don't Dick Clark's dead. And it's like, and it's just it's a giant ball. I think there's just other shit like Twitter and stuff like that, where that's where people consume their New Year's Eve celebrations. And it hasn't been the same for a little while. So I don't know. I'm not super discouraged that the restaurants aren't going to get a New Year's Eve like we usually do. because I don't think it's that big of a hit than a typical. What is it on a Thursday? It is.
Yes.
Yeah,
New Year's Eve
it's
on
New Year's
Thursday.
Day that I look forward to business.
Really?
Yeah, because everybody has it off. You get hit early. People are home early. You know, you'll get hit until like 8 o'clock at night. Especially this year, it would have been on a
It's
Friday.
a Friday, yeah.
And then I would have rolled right into the weekend. I was talking to Karl about it the other day. Like, wow, that would have been the best way to kind of start off 2021. Is you go New Year's Eve on a Thursday.
Yeah.
It'll be a better than average Thursday. Friday will be slammed because everybody's got it off. Saturday
Everybody goes out for lunch. Everybody's hungover.
Yeah, see, I always think of that like that day as just be like the recovery day where people are home.
You know, they go out to restaurants and
Watching
recover.
the Twilight Zone marathon.
Hair of the dog. Yeah, Twilight Zone marathon. Holy shit. Yeah. And then you roll right into Saturday and Sunday, and that weekend would be above average. So, yeah, that Thursday, Friday, that's what kind of sucks is with these rules, we're not going to be able to really take advantage of that. Understandably so. You know, first world.
Well, we can hope COVID might be over by then.
Yeah. It was supposed to be over after all that.
Yeah, on the 4th of November.
Right. Well, got a vaccine on the way.
Yep. Yeah. We were talking about that a little bit earlier before. So 2021, not as nice a round sounding number as 2020, but
Sounds good to me.
I know, dude.
I'm so tired of hearing 2020.
But so how do we plan for the upcoming year? Like we said, there's a vaccine basically en route. Obviously, it's going to go to first responders, doctors. I'd say rich people first.
Yeah.
So it could be a while before we actually see it. But what do you guys think next year is going to look like? Is it going to be, hey, you have to sit at a table? No. I have my vaccine card right here that says I've been vaccinated. Like, because I even heard people talking about like, there'll be concerts, but you have to prove that you've been vaccinated.
I never thought about that. That actually kind of makes sense.
Because
you could take everyone's word for it. There
Right.
are people that lie and say their dogs are fucking
Service
emotional
animals?
support animals. We dealt with one the other day, but then we sent her here because you let dogs in.
Right now, I'll take any business at all.
I know. I'm like,
We don't serve. They used to ask for little, doggy bowls of water. You got to buy a beer.
Yeah. Good for you.
So
We buy the dog a beer.
buy the dog a beer. You
Yeah.
come on in anytime he wants,
fine.
as long as he's spending money.
Absolutely.
but
They call it a service dog. That dog did not know how to pour a beer. Wait on a table. I mean, I don't.
No shit.
Yeah, no, I had to teach it.
Staff, sure, I'll take a service.
I had it. Yeah, forget it. Anyway,
But I mean, are you guys, Jordan, you had like the hot wing eating thing. Is that even like, are you thinking about planning that? I mean, for Inebriart, it's our 10-year anniversary.
Holy shit.
And it's like, we could have done some cool stuff and we're still kind of like trying to figure out like what we can do.
I see a lot of people being super creative with events virtually. I go back to the one the Chamber put on earlier this year for the One Fund. They did bands. They did,
That's
like, variety.
Couchcella.
Yeah, Couchella,
Yeah.
thank you, which they got a cease and desist for, so I was trying not to use that name.
Oh, sorry. I was unaware of that.
But they did a good job with that. It was virtual, it was Zoom, it was it was entertaining, and then you got the Mayflower Hometown Throwdown, which would have already aired by the time we're recording this in early December. It's coming up on the 7th.
Oh my God, congratulations to that winner who was awesome.
I know who it is. Karl knows it. Karl was one of the judges. They did an incredible job. They filmed it all on site. They went to all these restaurants. All the downtown chefs competed. It took a little bit more effort. It was definitely outside of the box of previous. For those of you listening, the America's Hometown Throwdown, if you're not from Plymouth, you probably aren't quite sure what I'm talking about, so sorry. It's a chef competition. All the 12 or 13 chefs from the South Shore area, and I think there's 1 or 2 from Boston maybe come down, all compete against each other and raise money for the South Shore Community Action Council, which is a program that makes sure kids don't go home, kids who don't have food over the weekend when they leave school, they go home with a backpack full of food. It's a great program. Mayflower's been doing it. This was the 5th year, and they didn't let COVID kind of get in the way of interrupting that because it much needed help.
And it's usually a big shindig. They set up like temporary kitchens and
right at the brewery.
Yeah.
And it's huge. It's like a big industry party every year. one of my favorite days of the year. I usually MC it. Karl was a judge this year. But we did it all virtual. So there's ways, it's not comfortable. And I'm thinking about the wing contest. Like you mentioned, I have a hot wing contest every year to raise money for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. And it's usually an end of winter sort of party, like far out, super hot wings. Karl usually eats one. They're pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not doing it this year.
Yeah.
Once I turned 40, no more hot wings.
Oh, happy birthday, by the way.
I don't know. We gotta figure out how to do it.
But it's not the same. I mean,
No.
you talk about the Throwdown. They had 700 people there at their
brewery drinking
at the
beer.
brewery.
Yeah.
But it's a party atmosphere, and people know each other, and it's a community thing.
It's so much fun.
You
yeah.
do it virtual.
People are gonna.
Yeah,
watch
you still
it,
have
but,
the winner, and it was still a lot of fun.
You're raising money.
And you're raising
Yeah.
money, which is the reason why they're doing it. But it's not the same. People will say, "Oh, well, we're doing it virtually. I'm working from home. I'm doing this." COVID has changed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even if they said tomorrow, COVID is cured, and it's back to normal business. It'll never be back to normal business because everybody's lives have changed.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, there's some people who have been irreversibly affected, and I don't even mean who have gotten COVID. I don't think there will be a time in my life where I see no masks whatsoever.
No, and it's not a switch that they're going to say, "Okay, COVID's all set, business as usual." The next day doesn't mean that everybody's going to come to your place.
Yeah, I mean, I know me and Jordan have talked about this before, and this was now almost a year ago, being like, "Hey, do you think that when they lift the ban that the day after it's going to be crazy busy?" And we were talking that I feel like one day we're going to be sitting around and just turn and be like, oh, "Shit, everything's normal again."
Yeah.
It's going to be such a slow burn that
Yes.
all right, you can stay open till 9:30. Now you can stay open till 11. Ooh, 11.
Right,
And then
right.
it'll be
Well,
very,
you have a concert venue that holds 75,000 people.
Yeah.
Maybe only 30,000 people go.
Right.
Right.
Maybe they're not selling out. Yeah, there's still going to be people going out.
Sure.
But it's not going to be to that capacity that it was when last March when they just said it's over.
right.
Right.
But so your question was 2021. It can't be any worse than 2020. Your numbers can only go up.
It's true. Well, hopefully.
Well, if it doesn't, I'll tell you right now, it's not going to go down because
Yeah, right.
we won't be in business.
Hopefully your COVID numbers go down. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very tricky, and I'm gonna be completely honest. I thought we were gonna lose more businesses in downtown Plymouth. I thought there were gonna be way more that just folded up tent and left.
I think that
I think you-
PPP loan helped out.
I
a lot.
think
Yeah.
you haven't seen the end of it yet.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think now, December, January, February is really slow in the restaurant industry. If you're going to lose people, it's going to be then because they're not holding steady anymore.
Right.
And I think January and February is going to be slow months. And especially if you get, a couple of snowstorms on the weekends, it's
Yeah.
going to wipe people out.
Yeah, me and Karl were talking about that because we were debating on whether they were going to shut us back down again. And, you hear rumblings here and there. We both get worried, so we try to stay in touch and talk about it, so at least we're prepared. And we were talking the other day, and I was like, you know what? If they do it, just do it in January. Because it's like we're avoiding, we get power outages, snowstorms. No one comes out in January. Everybody's broke from the holidays.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing you really get is people redeeming gift cards. Like, that's what January is all about. People get their gift cards for Christmas. They use them in January. That's money you already had.
you
know
hope
what I
you
mean?
hope they spend a little more than what they redeem. Yeah,
Exactly. So, but you're right, Karl. I think if you're going to see, there's no more relief coming, I think, for businesses right now. I think we're on our own. At least that's how I'm planning it. So if there is relief, then great. If there isn't, we need to find a way to work without it. But I think there's a lot of businesses that have been hanging on to
Right.
less than a thread. And because of that relief, we're able to do so. And yeah, once January, February comes along, people aren't even going out for takeout anymore. Now you're really going to start seeing some of these. I hope not.
Well,
I really
a lot
do.
of people
Yeah.
are spending money on Christmas, and they're going to say, a lot of people aren't back to work yet. So
Right.
yeah.
where are you going to spend your funds?
Yep. It's true. It's true.
Do you? I just had a fucking question in my head, and it just boop, popped right out.
So early.
I know.
So 2021, I'll tell you what COVID has made me do. If you want to look on the positive things, is it has, at least for me, I don't know, Jordan, I assume it's the same for you. It has made me a better manager because you really got to look at everything now. And I mean everything.
Absolutely agree.
So if, some reason that they do flip a switch and everything does go back to normal the way it was, I'm better off as a business owner because this has really taught me to, look at the numbers, really stretch things out.
Right, and it
cut
makes you
the
more
fat.
creative.
Yep.
You have to get creative because every day is a roll of the dice. You don't know what new rules are going to come out, and you have a staff that's depending on you, and you're doing whatever you possibly can. I think back to the days where I was just doing takeout twice a week, and I'll say it straight out. I don't care if fucking IRS comes to me. I was paying my staff cash, a percentage of the sales. So the restaurant made money. I was able to pay my rent, and then they only got paid according to how much takeout we ran. And I'll look back at that 5 years from now and be like, you were fucking crazy. I can't believe you did that. But that was what we had to do to survive. Like, we had to be creative. You had to, like Karl said, understand your numbers better than ever. And I'm going to feel like a goddamn superhero. It's like wearing like a weighted vest for a year and then going for your first run without it. When we got back to full...
Yeah, because you run.
Run tabs, baby. We get back to full bore, whether it be June or March 2022, it's like Karl said, we're going to feel like fucking superheroes. We're going to be like, this is easy now. Like the money's just coming in the way it used to. We're not having to squeeze it from a rock, but we're getting more value out of every dollar now because we know how to do that. We had to do it in a different way. There is a positive there. I agree with you.
Yeah. When this all started, I was dealing with a Facebook friend that was an internet troll, and he was one of these, the whole thing's fake, and, it's only killing people who are, basically the strong ones will survive, but then he'd be like, they need to open the businesses up because, I can't do my job. And so me being a smart ass, I'm like, don't worry, only the weak businesses will die off. And it's kind of true. Like the businesses that make it through this are going to be just monsters. Because it's going to be like, did I lose power today? Big deal, Mm-hmm. It still sucks in the day, but you're going to be able to look back and be like, I made it through COVID. Who gives a shit?
I've been saying that all along because Karl and I talk about it all the time, and we have right across from each other, but we have businesses run very differently. But I've been saying this whole time, if you wanted to survive, you could. And it sounds selfish and it sounds insensitive, but I think any place that might close and use COVID as the excuse maybe wasn't doing that great before it.
Well, they may have had a pre-existing condition. Like if you went into this like what you're
doing there,
way in debt, and like you were already having trouble paying your bills.
Right.
This was going to be the nail in the coffin that just took you out.
Absolutely. And if you weren't okay with being tested, instead of just kicking and screaming about the rules, you adapted and overcame and got creative and did what you could with the rules instead of just sitting around complaining about it, then you're probably more likely to survive. I bet you 99% of business owners that had that sort of grit and, were able to be flexible and fought back a little bit are probably doing okay. Not great, but the ones that sat around and pointed their finger and blamed everybody and was waiting for somebody to save them, those might be the ones that didn't have the right mentality going into COVID-19, and this just kind of washed them out. It's insensitive, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I work too fucking hard to hear people complain. And I've seen Karl work his ass off here and him adapt. And, and a lot of restaurants downtown are doing a great job and just being positive and just trying to push through. But the ones that are on, like you said, the trolls that are on Facebook and all they want to do is wag their finger and spurt fucking conspiracy theories. Like, dude, if that's what you want to waste your energy on, go for it. I don't care how you
Nothing
feel.
makes me madder than when I...
More mad.
Yeah,
More mad?
I was going to correct it.
Jeez. All right, nothing makes me
When someone
more
interrupts
mad.
me and corrects me.
Than when I see a business that is just ignoring the rules and see like how hard you guys work and how much effort you've put in, and these other ones are just like, fuck
That's
it.
a great point. This is all hypothetical, but what if you were following the rules to a T? And it's not easy.
Yeah.
And then you go down the street and the other person isn't following any of the rules.
Right.
Yet their bar or restaurant is full because that's where people want to go because
They're not following the rules.
they're not following the rules. What do you do? There's nothing you can do. It's very, very frustrating when you see that as a business owner that, hey, I'm doing all the following all the rules and I'm losing money because I'm following the rules. Yet the bar or restaurant down the street isn't following the rules.
And they're making us look bad.
Right.
Because they paint all restaurants, as we've seen, at least in this state.
That's
they
right.
paint restaurants in a broad stroke.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a dive bar breaking all the rules or a restaurant like New World's following all the rules and spaced out and doing the right thing. When they see one restaurant doing it bad, one apple spoils the whole tree. And those assholes who are short-sighted and maybe don't have the creativity or the capacity to be able to function under these rules, or just straight up breaking them, are not only taking money out of our pockets, but they're fucking making us look bad, and they might set us back.
Yeah.
It sucks.
And it's one of those where I'd much rather see enforcement opposed to new regulations.
Agreed.
You know?
But it's so lazy the way it's been done.
Yeah.
And I get it's difficult, and we've never...
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can't expect the state to go into every single restaurant every single day to make sure that every single person is following the rules. You can't do that.
Yeah.
We understand that.
But
But what happens to
you do a
that
couple-
restaurant that you think the state has, quote, forgotten about
Right.
because they've been doing things pre-COVID way and never changed? Do you go to the town and say, hey, listen, and then maybe the town, does paint that broad stroke and say, you know what, we're shutting everybody down now because people aren't following the rules.
Right.
Well, no, people are. It's just one or two places. But as a business owner, seeing that other business doing things that they shouldn't do, it's hard for me to. It's frustrating, but I can't go to the town because I don't want to be that whistleblower.
No. Yeah,
Right.
Stitches get, stitches get
You
stitches.
can't go to that bar owner because they don't care, obviously, because they're breaking all the rules. So
Right.
They
And-
know it's not like they don't know what the rules are.
And this is the thing: is it's not your responsibility. Like it shouldn't be on you.
Right.
There should, and I understand there's no systems in place for this because we didn't know this was going to happen.
That's right.
But you take one, I don't know, state trooper or something and be like, hey man, go spend your shift, do spot checks on wherever, and that guy's going to have his, places that he's going to overlook just by human nature. But still, you have the power of social media where you put out some hefty fines to a half a dozen places and be like, they're paying attention.
Make an example.
You make an example of some people
I wouldn't do the fines. I wouldn't even do the fines.
You just shut them down.
I would shut them down for a short period.
Suspended
Yeah,
for a
or
week.
And
whatever.
that's it.
Yeah, whatever.
Because the fines, if you fine somebody $500,
Yeah.
a restaurant can make that on a huge table.
yeah,
To them, that's not a deterrent.
yeah.
If you shut them down for the weekend,
Now
all of a sudden they're going to say, I guess I should follow the rules because I don't want to be shut down again.
Yeah, it's like
And
hey,
they
here
lose.
comes the baseball
They
conversation.
lose all that money.
It's like steroids in baseball.
yeah,
First offense, you get suspended for 80 games or 82 games, half a season. Second offense, you get suspended for, I think, an entire year, 162 games. And then third offense on steroids, I think you're banned, right? I'm pretty sure that's how the rules go. You're banned from the game.
And how
So,
easy would it to be like your third offense, you lose your liquor license?
done. You lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
that
mean,
would really...
restaurants would be like, all right, they're not dicking around,
Right. And then the ones that are like, we're going to fucking probably close anyway, so let's just take advantage of this. They take their 3 strikes,
Yeah.
close anyway, and they...
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like...
and you have to be reasonable in your enforcement. You don't want to have. You want to make an example of someone that's openly flaunting the law. You don't want to get
That's correct.
someone in there and be like, well,
If somebody's table, everybody's 6 feet apart. If somebody's 5.5 feet between
Right.
one table and the whole restaurant,
You're shutting that one down.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Then
you
you're
got to
just being a
use
jerk. Yeah.
massage
Piss a lot
policy
of
with
people off.
judgment.
so I mean, that's the tricky part because you do have humans involved, and humans are humans, and you're going to have those people who are like, well, this person gave
Yeah, you
me
come in,
shitty
you come
food
in.
one time, so I'm gonna
You come in, you say, hey, listen, this is not COVID compliant.
yeah.
Get it ready. I'll be back tomorrow. And then when they come back tomorrow, if it's compliant, you're all set. And if it's not, then you say, hey.
That's what they've been doing. And, we've had the ABCC come in.
Yeah, but are they doing it to the places that we know
No.
that are abusing the rules?
Not that
that's,
I know of.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, we get regularly checked on. I think it's like I've seen them almost like every 3 weeks now. They just come through late night, make sure you're following curfew. We had a woman who was upset because our kitchen guys weren't wearing masks, and kitchen guys don't have to. It's over an open flame. It specifically says it in the Board of Health's release for the rules COVID guidelines that kitchen people do not have to wear masks. I have some that choose to. I have some that choose not to. But I'm not going to enforce it because I don't want their face burning off. So, but we had a woman that was upset about it, and she wasn't upset about it because she was afraid to get sick. She was upset because she got scolded twice by one of my employees for standing up without wearing a mask, for not following the rules. And her rebuttal was, well, your kitchen guys aren't wearing rules. And then she went and called the ABCC on us. So, because she didn't understand that the kitchen guys didn't have to, but due diligence, they came by, said, here's my card. You guys are doing great. We understand, but anytime someone calls, we're going to come check on you. And, but they've been great. I wish they would. Some of the businesses that we won't say out loud that we know aren't doing the right thing in town, I wish they did do something, some sort of enforcement, and not just a $500 fine. Because let me tell you, if I'm going to ring $3,000 on a night because I'm breaking the rules and you're going to charge me $100, okay, I'll do that every night.
Yeah.
I'll write off that $500. I was going to do $1,000 and then I broke the rules and made $3,000. I'll pay that $500. That's easy. That's easy math.
Right.
But shutting them down, now we're talking. Shut them down for a weekend, shut them down for a week, and then shut them down forever. I'd love to see that, honestly, to get through this. I think we're at the home stretch, but because the vaccine is on the way, home stretch, like maybe 6 more months before we could start freely doing things again. Maybe.
I feel like it's going to be this time next year before we're really
But you'll start. I think
summertime. You're going to see a lot because we're talking about planning for the future. Are you guys still planning outdoor seating next year?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to do it again.
I think they're going to do it every year. I think from what the town saw before, where you couldn't have tables outside on public land, the sidewalk, not like out in your
Patio
parking lot,
whatever,
or your patio. But I think they didn't do it before because they were like, we just don't want to deal with all the hassles. And then they did it this year because of COVID, and they didn't have any hassles. And they're thinking, wow, that was actually kind of nice. We got a lot of compliments, some complaints. You're always going to have some complaints. But I think overall that the town really liked it, the people really liked it, and the businesses really liked it. So there's like, hey, that wasn't bad at all. Imagine what we could do if there was no COVID.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of every part of it, which, because I live at one end of the one-way street. But I tell you, on a nice night, especially with the patio heaters, they add like this nice ambiance, and people weren't just throwing out like a random table and being like, go sit outside. And kudos to like Sukasa. I think they went way above and beyond. It's gorgeous. Looks fantastic.
Go back and listen to the episode with Aaron and Nick. We interviewed them over the summer, and they talk a lot about what they did with that patio.
Yeah, I know. Awesome. Tasty had a real nice setup. So people really kind of went beyond to make it not that you're just sitting on the sidewalk or in a parking lot. Jordan, you had some really nice tables out there.
Donated my son's outdoor living. Thank you, Gabriel. I have to give you a shout out there.
And, I really feel like people tried to make it special and not just, you can go sit outside in that parking spot.
Restaurant people give a shit, man.
Yeah.
We don't want to just fucking put folding tables out there. And we understand, we have pride, and we understand that a lot of the experience of going out to eat is comfort. And if you're sitting at a rickety piece of shit table on a sidewalk, you know what I mean? It's going to feel like you're sitting at a rickety piece of shit table. You're not sitting al fresco. You're sitting at you're tailgating. Which there's nothing wrong with tailgating, but you could do that on your own. You don't need a restaurant. So, yeah, it was pretty rad. I think, and I give shout out to the town, really, because through all this, and they get a lot of shit, because no one's ever going to agree on everything, but I think the town has been great.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Lisa over at building she answers her, I can only imagine how busy she's been. And she answers her emails almost immediately.
She answers your emails?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, she likes me. I pay my bills on time.
And Karl, he knows how to send emails.
Karl can't pay his bill on time. He always seems to wait 5 days later so we can walk over there.
No, I always do it in the last day so she can see me.
But Karl, this year you opened a food truck. Do you have plans or an idea of how do you want to expand it? Or?
No, I have no plans.
Yeah.
Only because I don't know what the COVID's going to bring. It's 1 week at a time. 1 week at a time.
That's the nice thing about the lease. We can kind of
it out,
I guess.
You can go anywhere. If nobody buys off the food truck, it's a waste of time and money.
Yeah.
But then there are times that you can make a good living at it. You just don't know when that's going to be or where it's going to be. So yeah, I don't have any plans as of now until the end of the year. We're going to have to see what happens through the holidays. Make a decision then.
So now it's just your daily driver.
And it's winter. I mean, yeah. So it's winter though. You park somewhere, and it's tough when it's snowing out and
Oh yeah,
drizzly
yeah,
rain, and
sure.
it's
That's a good point.
25 degrees. You're not going to do a lot of business in a food truck.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So I finally remember what the hell the question was that just vanished from my mind. The news is always talking about like COVID, people being tired of COVID, so they just from human nature they get lax. Back in March when this hit and everything was shut down, there was a huge push, buy local, go out and support all your restaurants and whatever you can do to help. Now that we're headed into, a potential another shutdown, it's winter. Do you guys feel that? Do you are the vendors still kind of being like, hey man, I understand you're going through a lot, or has that kind of died off where everyone's like, well, this is how it is?
Well, I
Just
think it
fucking
actually
deal with
died
it.
off because, the vendors who have been very good during COVID, they're hurting too.
Right.
So they're not going to be able to do what they did before.
Yeah.
And that's give you maybe extra terms or shorter payments. But yeah, I just don't. The shop local, it's great. Do you see it in the restaurant industry? Well, we see people coming in all the time. So is it because they want to shop local? We hope, but we hope that we're a good local restaurant and people are coming to us just because
Right.
they like
Yeah.
our restaurant. So
Took the words right out of my mouth.
yeah, so it's in the restaurant business, it's tough because we could get people in here that shop local that say, oh, there's a restaurant, let's go in, that wouldn't have been here before.
Yeah.
But I think the people that are coming into the New World Tavern are the people that are coming to the New World Tavern because it's the New World Tavern.
Yeah. I think my question was more like hypothetical. If there's a shutdown, I mean, both you guys are doing takeout. Do you foresee doing as much takeout? Because like you said, this is going to be wintertime. Do you think there's going to be that push where people are like, oh, no, I could make dinner tonight, but I'm going to go?
Yeah, I think there'll be a push, but I don't think it'll be as big as it was
The first time.
the first time.
Because they were afraid to lose us the first time.
And the first time,
Yeah.
people really, really wanted to go out there and, help the local businesses. Where this time, they're like, well, I've been there and I've done that.
And I got to help myself.
Yeah,
too,
it's I can't support everybody all the time. I got to support my family first.
right.
And, I don't know what side of the aisle our listeners sit on, but that additional money in your unemployment check made going out a lot easier.
Right.
Where
And we don't think that's coming back around this time because that bill's just kind of sitting there.
it's been sitting there since July.
Yes.
But yeah, there's still a lot of talk about it, and if it comes back, I think that'll make a difference. But yeah, that's a huge amount of. Did you see drop-offs when that stopped?
Yeah, I think so, but it's hard to measure because everyone handles their money differently.
Yeah.
It wasn't like everybody that walks in a Speedwell. And I do have a younger clientele, and I'm not generalizing, but, still building up their own, estates, I guess is a kind of a big word for it. But, kids maybe living paycheck to paycheck is a large part of my clientele. And I didn't really see much of a drop-off. A lot of people went back to work kind of at the same time
Yeah.
as that did get pulled back. Not everybody, but yeah, I agree with Karl. I think the loyalty was definitely a big shot in the arm early on when we were able to reopen for takeout. You felt it because people wanted you to know. They wanted you to be around. They wanted you, I think, in deep down, wanted you to remember that, like, hey, when this goes back to normal, remember who appreciated you too.
Right.
Everyone likes having the owner come over and shake your hand, and I won't forget anybody, especially the people who went above and beyond for myself and my staff and to make sure Speedwell was good. But yeah, I think the second time around is going to feel a little different. I think people are just like, we feel like we're in halftime.
Yeah.
Okay, they're going to be okay. They got through the worst of it. We've already experienced this before. It's been 7 months. Like, it's going to be fine, blah, 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 blah. I don't see a push. The weather thing might help us out. I have said that before on the podcast. I think with colder weather, people aren't having cookouts, things like that. So that takeout might be more lucrative just naturally.
Right, but
Yeah.
I think the question was if we shut down.
Right. But do you think they would allow us to do takeout like they did last time if they shut us
Oh,
down?
yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because we got to sell gift cards. We got to do
Right.
things like that too. Right. So I think the takeout might be busier or as busy just because of the weather.
Yeah.
The waterfront slows down. We compete a lot with the waterfront during the summer. in early spring.
The waterfront in general, not the waterfront.
Not the waterfront restaurant.
Yeah.
They're part of that.
Yeah.
Either one of them.
Overgeneralizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. But any restaurant down on the waterfront is going to be a bigger draw because they're only open technically fully like 8 months of the year. So they're that new cool thing, especially in March and April. We compete with them for a little while, but we won't have that. It'll be less restaurants to compete with. You won't have to compete with the sun. You won't have to compete with people grilling and outdoor parties and stuff like that. People are going to just want some takeout.
And for our listeners that are in cold weather climates, I mean, it's almost like a light switch. The
really
second
is.
the season even started to turn, beer sales at the craft beer cellar, I mean, just saw more and more people on the weekends because they weren't grilling, which I don't understand how that works. But, or maybe they weren't
going out.
They weren't going out. They weren't sitting outside.
Right.
But yeah, as soon as it started turning cold, we saw way more sales.
Yep. And I'm not banking on that, but it'll be nice. I'm just going to try to function with what we have right now and kind of assume it's going to stay the way it is right now, maybe until January, February. But yeah, that takeout will be a big help. So
Well, let's hope it doesn't come down to it.
right,
Let's hope
we
they
might
will
not
stay
shut
open.
down.
Sure.
Right, exactly. I don't see the benefit of a shutdown right now for restaurants, but
And I think there's going to be, there'll be more, I don't know if pushback's the right word, but I think, people are angry enough at the regulations. I think if there's a shutdown, it'll be even more because, like you said earlier, I mean, people can't survive that. And
right. This will be a final blow. You know what I mean? Like we could take 1 or 2 hits, but I think, and I think the same for Karl, not to speak out of school, but I think we'll be all right if they do shut us down again. I know Speedwell will be fine. It's my staff I worry about.
Yeah.
How are they going to survive if they're not getting that unemployment check? I don't want that for them. And you end up losing those staff because they got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You shut down the restaurant, but the Walmart's open. You bet your ass they're going to go back. You know what I mean? It's
Especially if there isn't, well, last I heard, the unemployment is getting extended again. But there's a huge difference between extension and supplement.
right. Absolutely.
You guys up for some questions?
Let's go.
Might as well.
All right. This one is Lana Hubbard. And let's see, it says, give me ideas. What are some of y'all's catchy ways to get more people in the bar? I feel like we've had this type of question before. Other than regular happy hour specials, which we can't do here in Massachusetts. But certain things you post on social media, games you play, that type of thing.
And marketing.
Well, it depends on what kind of bar you are.
Yeah. Right.
No, that's a good point.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to be doing, if you're an upscale food restaurant, you don't want to do like a Yahtzee dice roll.
Right. Right. Keno. No, I would say it's marketing is number one, in my opinion. Especially now, I don't really do too many discounted food items. It's just I can't handle that right now. And it doesn't take much to fill the restaurant because I'm basically, 3/4, maybe a little less of capacity than I used to be. So I don't need, it would be foolish of me to bring down the value of every one of those bar seats with a discount right now. Like I need people paying full price right now. In fact, I had to raise a couple prices. Gloves per case went from $20 to $100. So that's a thing I don't make money on, but I have to spend. So right now, if we're talking COVID times, it's just marketing. Have a light tone, be positive, make it somewhere. Market your COVID guidelines. What have you done to your restaurant to make it safe and feel secure and make sure you're not a spreader? That's been
Super spreader.
Super spreader. That has been, that's what they called me in high school.
I'm sure they did.
Joke.
Yeah, advertise what you're doing right. You know what I mean? That's all. Just market. It's cheap to market on social media. It's free if you're not paying for the promos and have your staff share it and shit. Do stuff like that. The live music, Karl's been doing a good job with that. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it all depends on what your place is. You can't do any private parties now.
Yeah.
Offer something that nobody else offers. See what your customers want before you start changing things around. I mean, you could do a trivia night, maybe nobody shows up,
Right.
but you do
Right.
something else.
But there's nothing. And
But just don't cut your prices to get people in.
Yeah.
Because now you're just selling your product for less to the same people that would have came in anyway.
Right. We've said that too. I think we talked about it in the last podcast when we had Dan. We was saying like stand by your product, be proud of your product, stand by your product, and realize that people aren't just buying the ingredients like an egg roll. They're not just buying a wonton wrapper with a bunch of chicken stuffed in it that I rolled. They're buying my interpretation of what that egg roll is, my experience that went into it, the thought, the research, the learning over the years, listening to my customers over the years, and making that thing better and better. That's essentially what they're purchasing. So I think the discounted 50-cent wing nights and all that stuff, I'm going to see a lot less of that pretty soon.
So you want your customers to give you feedback? So
I love when my customers
So
give
you
me
want them to
feedback.
say, do you know what you should do?
No, not so much that. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
No,
I also
so-
don't call them customers. We call them
But-
guests. They're guests.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We call them customers.
Yeah, I know.
But you got to remember, the question was asked to us. We're not asking our customers.
Yeah.
We say she should ask hers.
Hers.
There's a difference.
Good point.
Something I think that both of you do like really well, and when we started,
Podcasts?
kind of, yeah, sort of. So when we started doing podcasts, like you were looking into like what makes a good podcast, and we've had conversations like we got let's cut down the inside jokes, and but time and time again, it's be genuine, and I think both of you are very genuine to who you are. You give off the same persona socially as you do in business atmosphere, and you do it on I am complimenting you.
This is making me really uncomfortable.
Jesus. It's because you called yourself the super spreader.
I did. You're right.
Jesus.
but-
He's
We'll
getting all
see you after
excited.
this podcast.
Yeah, baby.
Let's
But
go.
you guys put up videos on your social media on a regular basis, and so when people see them, it's you guys being yourself, being genuine,
Thank you.
being thankful for your customers or guests or whatever the hell you want to call them, and then when they come in, it's the same thing. So it's if you're a high end, Solstice style restaurant, do a video that's representative of that. You
Right.
know, like Karl does kind of like a sit down with Karl, and it's jokey and funny. That wouldn't work with a restaurant like that.
Right.
But you could show your chef preparing the special and, shoot it pretty well and put that up. So
Yeah, have an identity,
Yeah.
be authentic, and stick to it. Yeah,
So-
I agree. Thank you, Andy.
I need a shower after complimenting you guys.
You do it, yeah. A cold shower.
I feel dirty.
No, me too.
So, sorry about that, guys. It won't happen again.
I appreciate that.
This is Courtney Barnes. What do you do? I love this question, and I really can't wait to hear your response. What do you do when a customer says, I can't taste the alcohol, when you know damn well you put the correct pour in it?
I wish Dan
That's
was
where you
here.
say. That's where you say. That's because I make a damn good drink.
Right, because
That's a pretty good answer.
Yeah. That's
Karl,
right.
you've done this before.
Dan loves that shit. He would have been a great response, but I don't bartend anymore. When that would happen, I'd be basically something to the tune of what Karl said.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. Cocktails were invented so you didn't taste the alcohol.
Yeah, and some people do it because they just want to double without paying for it.
Right.
Oh, put some more alcohol in this for me. Sure, it's going to cost you $5 more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Unless it was like when I
Here's
was
the drink
single
the
and it
same
was a
way I
cute
make
girl.
it for everybody else. So,
What was that?
When I was single and it was a cute girl, I didn't whatever. But it wasn't, and I didn't own the place, so whatever. But don't do that, bartenders. Don't listen to me.
But I also think that's kind of, it's so tough because there's so many different places. Like I've gone to places where I've known the bartender, and you get a strong drink. And sometimes it's not always a good thing because you'll be like,
No.
I'm going to be here all night having drinks, and then you get ones that are doubles, and you're like, oh shit! All right,
Right.
now I got to go to beer, or I got places to be.
now
I
I'm
gotta
hammered.
work.
It's only 3 o'clock. in
You
the
and I used to
afternoon.
talk about that all the time because
Yeah.
we try to sneak out, get a day drink somewhere, and he's like, "Gee, you'd order like a fruit drink or something." And you're like, "Jesus fucking Christ!" Like,
Right, and you're like, thanks, man, but
yeah,
know.
I'm not here for that. I was just
That's
trying to
right.
get away from work for an hour,
That's right,
and then
yeah.
so I want to be able to go back to work. I need to go back to work, and you're wasting alcohol, and I'm wasting brain cells.
So, I mean, it's no secret I live in downtown Plymouth, so I walk down here most of the time. And pretty much everyone knows that. And I've had to go to bartenders and be like, hey, man, I know I walk home, but I should remember the walk home.
yeah, you said that.
I don't... Like, I like to go and have a good time, but I don't want to feel like total shit the next day.
Maybe they're trying to
Yeah, but that's
see if
for
you're a
people
super
that don't,
spreader.
that
Take
don't
you
want to have
home.
a good time. They just want to get drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's a lot of those people that are asking for a stronger drink.
Yeah.
You know what's a good way to do that too? Be like, hey, why don't you just get like this on the rocks, or see how tough they really are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If they're asking
Yeah,
for
I don't think that's a good idea.
you're asking for a vodka cranberry and you want it stronger. Well, first of all, I've never tasted vodka in a vodka cranberry unless it was like a splash of cranberry, like a Cosmo or something. But yeah, you know what? If you like that Grey Goose cran so much, which is an abomination, why would you waste Grey Goose? Anyway, why don't you get a Grey Goose martini? Why don't you get this? And let's see, and they got to pay more money for that. So,
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know. I'd like to test someone's balls a little bit. It's really easy to ask for a stronger drink when you're drinking something that has 300 grams of sugar in it. But
Do you think that there's this, and this is a kind of a rhetorical question, that there's this places where people go, specifically Chinese food restaurants, that basically give you almost straight alcohol? And I don't know why. Why is it Chinese food restaurants?
I don't know, because it's like 7 different alcohols in it. So by the time you put everyone in,
It's
you've already
all
filled the
booze
glass.
and a little bit of food coloring.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I love those. I love Scorpion Bowls, man. I'm
But I
all
mean,
about
even
it.
like their regular drinks are always like way stronger than I feel like they need to be.
I know. I go to one. I used to, when I lived in town, I used to go to one down the street here. Great food. Drinks were like, I remember my hair standing up the first time I went there. I sat at the bar waiting for my takeout. I got a Tito's and soda water, and that was just Tito's in a pint glass.
Yeah.
She essentially over
Yeah.
ice served me probably about 8 ounces of Tito's.
Yeah.
And charged me $7 for it. It's fucking awesome. I didn't finish it. I had
Yeah.
a long drive home, but no, I was walking, but I didn't finish it. But yeah, I don't know why. That's a good point.
Yeah,
Chinese food restaurants.
I always look at it as, when you see the regulars at a Chinese food restaurant, it's like, whoa, he's been through some stuff.
That's true. That's true because they're trying to get the best bang for their buck.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good
so
point.
It's I don't know why that is. If
Hey,
you-
that's their thing, though. Like that,
I
you're
get-
going.
I know,
If
but
you
like-
go into a Chinese food restaurant and you're expecting to get a well balanced drink, then I'm sorry, this is your first time at a Chinese food restaurant.
But
Like,
but this
not
is-
to overgeneralize, but it's true. Those
it is,
those
and it's not like this Chinese food restaurant or that Chinese. It's
It's-
kind of across the board.
if
and
it's
I'm
a
sure
straight
there's
up,
exceptions.
yeah, we're talking the one that has like numbered menu, 100 things on the menu.
Yep.
It's been around since the 80s. Asian owned.
yeah.
And it's true, at least up in our area. I agree with you, Andy. I actually was just picking up takeout at one yesterday with my wife on my way
And
home.
you look at the bar and you're like, wow,
I got a-
that guy's rough.
Gin and soda, and I shouldn't have finished it.
All right. This one's from Hakim. What
Got the
term?
name right.
Yeah. What term do
Hakeem.
you
Oh,
use?
is it?
Calling in or calling out? I'm from South Jersey and always use calling out when trying to call off work. So,
That was so fucking confusing. I say bang out.
Bang in.
in.
I
Yeah,
say
banging in.
banging in.
yeah.
He banged in.
Banged in.
Banged in sick.
I'm gonna bang them out for doing that because you don't get sick
That was a dumb question. Goes to the next one.
unless
It was a short
it's COVID
question.
and you got to be super
Well,
safe.
I was gonna say but
Thanks,
that's
Mitch.
but that was always kind of a thing. Is like you work in a restaurant, you don't fucking call out,
Right,
especially
until
when you're
now.
in the kitchen. So is that totally different now?
Yeah. And there's always like, I think it's because I'm jaded and I've had so many people fake sick over the last fucking 12, 15 years of trying to do a schedule and schedule the staff. It always seemed to be on the dead shifts that people were calling out. And so I just worked
Right.
up this like sort of wicked defensive. And I'm trying not to be that way because it's COVID and there are more important things right now. But I make them get tested. It's kind of like asking for a doctor's note when you call out of school. Like you got, all right, yep, you could. Parents can pull your kids out of school, but we need to see that they went to the doctor.
Yeah.
So we've had 3 employees that had like 3 people removed from someone that caught COVID. And once they told us that, which they didn't, I give them a lot of credit, they had to go get tested and they couldn't come back to work until they had a positive result. Had a guy come back today. He missed an entire week.
Negative result.
Negative result. Negative result.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm obviously getting just so exhausted of this shit that I'm not even being careful anymore with how I'm wording this shit. But we are being careful.
We
with
could
the
tell about the
restaurant.
Chinese restaurant.
Yeah. I love Chinese restaurants.
The best.
Family-owned businesses, cheap food. Give them a lot of
Good
credit.
food.
Good food. Hell yeah.
So if someone banged in,
Someone's well, we've had it to answer the question more specifically. So someone calling saying, "Hey, I think either I'm not feeling well or I've been near somebody. I think I've been exposed." Then
Go get tested.
Go get tested, and I'll cover the shift or whatever. We're lucky enough where the hours are so limited and the volume's limited. I shouldn't say lucky, but it does help you out a little bit staff wise when you get shorthanded from people maybe being. But so far so good. Knock on wood. I can't knock on the table because it's a knock on wood.
It's knock on wood. You can do that. Yeah. That's within the rules.
Have you had any near misses or anything, Karl? Anybody had to get tested yet or anything like that?
Nope.
Good.
Nope. Pretty clean so far.
Yeah, I got tested twice, just to be safe because I was living with my in-laws and they're older. And my staff members have been great about it, even kicking and screaming. I had a staff member that lost a lot of money because she had to take an entire weekend off, and that's her money shifts. But she sucked it up, and we paid her minimum wage for the shifts we made her take off, and that's kind of the way you got to handle it right now.
So this next question, Karl. When I first read it was kind of stupid, but the last bit made me laugh.
Ask away.
So it's Jason Harding. What's the most adorable thing your non-industry significant other has said? And the funny part is, his was, "You're drinking at 7 a.m.?" That kind of made me laugh.
It's not drinking at 7 a.m. It's either tasting or business meeting.
You sound like Randy Marsh in South Park. It's called what is it? A Wiener Vesa. It's classy.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a drink at 7 o'clock in the morning, doesn't mean you're drinking at 7 o'clock in the morning.
We had this conversation.
Drinking
Saturday.
means right.
We're having a drink.
We're having a drink. We're not drinking.
Him and I sat down. We had a
There's
very
a big
productive
difference.
conversation.
You can go out for a drink and then you can go out drinking.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
No, I think the question was.
I don't go drinking at 7 o'clock in the morning.
I wasn't accusing you.
Oh, I meant.
I know he's very defensive right now.
I know. I
Did
feel
you-
like
was that my
you
wife?
missed
Sit here.
the question.
Did Jen send that in?
10:30 a.m.
Actually, Jen sent in, "Why are you at the pillory?"
Yeah.
My favorite story for you is when Rich Mancini, the guy who owns Angelo's, was taking a picture of the waterfront and your truck was parked.
Yeah.
We talked about that on the podcast a couple
Nailed.
times. Yeah, your old lady got you good on that one, dude.
Where are you? I'm at work. Really? Because your truck's on the waterfront. And somebody's parked.
No, the parking's a bitch.
A local business owner used to own a sandwich shop on the waterfront, and he would constantly
Nice.
take pictures and promote on Facebook, hey, I'm open for business, show the water and all that. And Karl's rusty gold pickup truck sitting there.
Unmistakable.
There's no chance.
I told her it wasn't my truck, but she didn't buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean there's another truck that's got duct tape?
I think the next text she sent me was, "You're an idiot."
Which from Jen is, she must have that on copy and paste.
It's almost like an emoji, just words.
But has your non-industry significant other?
What does it mean by non-industry?
In other words, she doesn't work with you.
Oh, okay.
So
out of
if you,
I thought you mean you have an industry one and a non-industry because does this
can have
person
two?
a mistress?
I mean,
I know, right?
he
Jesus
could.
Christ.
I don't know.
I call Meggie my work wife all the time
Um,
because we don't agree all day, and that's pretty much what I think marriage is about. But
not agreeing. But yeah, have you gotten those weird questions and?
I am very lucky where my wife is I've set the bar so low that nothing I do surprises her anymore, and she just knows what she's going to get. I've been consistent the 10 years we've been together. I've drink in the morning.
I found when
Have a drink or drink it?
I have a drink in the morning. Thank you,
Yeah.
Karl. Thank you. That sounds so much better. Oh, thank you.
well,
It's experience.
talking
right there.
about terms like that, I love to say I went out last night and they overserved me.
Oh, yeah, so blame them.
But them,
Yeah.
it's their fault.
It happens to me all the time. I was overserved.
Yeah, he comes into
Bastards.
Speedwell every morning saying that. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
But when I
Of course, I haven't seen Last Calls. Well, actually, now I see Last Call all the time, but
Because you're still awake.
Because,
yeah,
it's early
it's
enough for you.
9:30.
my day job before I was laid off, every drinking joke in the office was pointed at me, and it's I get it. I'm in restaurants and bars and breweries all the time. I drink way less now than I used to because I'm
Right.
too fucking busy and I can't be hungover at work. And they'd be like, "Oh, Andy's at another brewery," and be like, "Yeah, working."
right,
Working.
right.
But yeah, so I don't know. I thought that was
Yeah, my wife doesn't bust my balls too much. I act like she does.
Was
I don't know
she?
why. I'm like,
Was she industry? before?
she's worked. Yeah, she's bartended. She was a waitress at one of those Chinese food restaurants that
Yeah.
we were just talking about. She was the only Asian that spoke English that worked there, and everybody assumed she didn't. So it was kind of funny. So if she didn't want to talk to somebody, she could
She would
just
just pretend.
right. But no, she crushed it. She'd get like a 12 table section at a place that was extremely busy in Dartmouth. But yeah, no, I've been desperate for help a couple times, and her and I always agreed not to work together because I think that's why we get along is that
Yeah.
we don't work together. But there have been a couple times where we've thought about it. We could use the money, and like anyone could, and she's good at it, but I think she's kicking ass as a stay-at-home mom right now. So we'll do that.
Nice. So this one's kind of more of a server question, but we're still gonna I'm sorry. This is more of a server question. You can
Ooh, squirrel.
You can edit that and make it sound less dumb.
No,
right?
don't, please.
He's not gonna.
Thanks, Fish. Of course
So this one's from Christina Marie, and she's curious about something. Are you right or left-handed? How do you carry a tray? She says she's right-handed, but she carries a tray in the left hand. To me, that seems to make sense because you'd want to pass stuff off with your dominant hand.
Oh, that's true. Cocktail tray. I think
Yeah.
of like food. I used to work at a banquet place, so I think of those giant trays you put on your shoulder.
But would you carry that with?
So and then you put it down on a tray stand, and
Oh,
then you
yeah,
serve
yeah.
off of it. So
Yeah.
I guess a cocktail tray. I don't know.
I didn't even think about.
I don't
the food
really
tray.
use them.
We don't either, but when I do, I carry it with both hands and put it down and take the drinks off.
Yeah, I think that's because we're rookies. I don't think. No, honestly, God, I mean that in like the nicest way. Like servers who are doing it constantly have a tray in their hand. I'd be curious to listen because it makes more sense to hold it in your left, but I could see why your balance would. Well, whatever your
Your
dominant hand,
non-dominant, yeah.
your non-dominant hand. So, like you said, you could use your dominant hand.
Pass it off.
But I could see why your dominant hand would be better at balancing
Right.
too. I do remember too, and like you always stack your tray from the middle out, like kind of so it's heaviest where you're gonna put your hand.
And how pissed do you get when people start taking drinks off of it?
I hate that.
because they fuck up the balance.
Yep.
That's why it's good
Yeah.
to put it down on the table. That's
Yep.
why that's a good move.
Oh, that is smart.
I'm not a
Yeah.
rookie.
Wow,
You are
I think
a
Karl
rookie.
took offense to that one.
Yeah, I know, right? Jesus Christ. You've only been bartending for like 2 years.
Well, I did it twice in 2 years.
You didn't actually bartend at the thing when you lost the bet and you were supposed to bartend.
No, everybody got a Bud Light. No, everybody got a Devil's Purse, I think is what it
And to me, I find that's one of the most impressive things that servers can do.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, some are better than others. But there was one time I was at Lucioso's, and was it Saturday nights they used to have their Irish session? So they'd have a little Irish session in back. The place would be packed, and one waitress would handle the whole room. So she'd have a tray of drinks to the point where you're like, there's too many drinks on that, and like 2 beers in the other hand.
right? Stacking bottles and glasses and,
And,
cocktail napkins in between.
I was with some friends and it was a little tight space because it's pre-COVID and you could be, and she backed up and just took out the whole tray.
Damn.
Yeah.
I used to have to do a lot with the food trays, even soup terrains. Like, so it'd be 1 gallon soup terrains, 4 of them, piping hot minestrone soup on a tray, and you would have to bring them out to tables. And we'd always be super nervous because we got all these rookie bus kids coming through, and they got to carry these trays that have like 220 degree soup on them, and they barely. But after a while, you just get used to it. I start spinning that thing on one finger like a fucking basketball. Like you get
I think that might be an exaggeration.
no.
Full of soup?
Not the soup
Nah.
ones. I was doing more lobsters and steaks and stuff. I did have one instance where a guy bumped into me. It was a really, really busy Valentine's Day, and we were overbooked. And this dude had been waiting. His family had been waiting for it was like 4 of them, waited for a table for way longer than they should have. And I was carrying a tray of lobster, and if you can't see me, I was like over my head because you had to go over people's heads.
Right.
Once you got good at it, it was fine. You just balance it was no big deal. But this dude like shoulder checked me, and I had probably about $200 worth of stuffed lobster on that tray, and it all just went down in the middle of the dining room in front of a bunch of people who had been waiting hours for tables and their food. And it was a nightmare.
Now let me ask you this. Someone bumps into you and the tray's going down.
Yeah.
Do you try to direct it towards you or towards them?
I did everything I could so the tables were so cramped together, which is
Yeah.
so weird to fucking think about now because they can't be.
Right.
But,
and that's what made me think of that story is I'm like, oh, we were 6 inches apart and she was trying to squeeze through and just the person stepped at the wrong time.
I think I kind of just threw it forward where they're like in an aisle, you know what I mean? So it wouldn't hit anybody, but immediately like went to my maitre d' was right there. He was trying to calm the guy down. And as he was seating him down to his table, I was serving the table next to it. And
You're serving the table from the stuff you just dropped on the floor?
I was trying to, and then that dude took me out. But yeah, and then I immediately just went to my mate. She goes, wasn't my fault. And he had to keep the peace, so he's like, just go get cleaned up, blah, 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 blah. Didn't stick up for me.
So did this guy, it purposely shoulder checked you?
He did not move. I was coming down the aisle. He was so pissed that he had to wait for his table. He stood like a statue. And when I tried getting around him, you expect someone to
jumped it on him.
You don't think like that. And I'm glad I didn't. Yeah. But he was upset. But that was it was not cool. And I always anytime someone brings up a tray thing, I have to tell the tray story because that's a nightmare. You have like industry nightmares. I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this do, where everything goes wrong at work. That was my nightmare come true. Like you always were afraid to drop the tray that had 4 lobsters on it. On the busiest, worst probably day I've ever worked, and that's exactly what happened.
Wow. I just assumed he didn't check you on purpose.
No, he's a dickhead. Fuck that guy. This stupid little fake leather jacket and fucking dyed just for men hair.
Wow. Yeah, I know it's last call. I was letting him finish his story.
Last call.
I know. I'm a storyteller.
Last call.
This is the portion of the show.
I don't know why I'm looking at you.
This is the portion of the show where we go around the table, give our final thoughts. Doesn't have to necessarily pertain to the episode, but you can just plug anything you want. And we're going to start with Karl Heine.
Hey everybody, Karl Heine, New World Tavern, downtown Plymouth, Massachusetts. Come on down. I know it's COVID, but come down, have something to eat, listen to some music, have a couple of drinks, sit 6 feet away from somebody, and have a good time.
You want me to go next?
Do you want to rock, paper, scissors for it?
No.
But next up is George Javit, Speedwell Tavern.
I just want to say that I know this is coming up before the holidays. I just want to say everybody have a happy holiday, Merry Christmas. Enjoy time with your family, but please be safe. Don't be short-sighted. We're almost there. The light is at the end of the tunnel, and let's not be selfish. The holiday is about caring and doing the right thing and good vibes, and I think the best gift for all of us would be a happy and healthy 2021 that looks nothing like 2020. And in order to get that, we all need to do the right thing. So have a happy holidays. Enjoy yourself. You deserve it, but just not too much.
All right, so that's over to me now. And, Jordan kind of said like all the good stuff. I'm going to say, heading into the winter, shutdown or no shutdown, it's going to be a harder time. Put those gift cards away. Save them for a rainy day. Save them for the summer, which is always a pain in the ass because you're going to lose them. But, go out, get takeout once a week. Support the local people. Support the local businesses. Outback Steakhouse can take a hit, but not these little guys. And that's pretty much it. So that's been the Bar Talk Podcast. A holiday edition. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on all the social medias at BarTalkCast. You can email us at bartalkcast@gmail.com with your questions, which we love. I think that's one of our favorite things to do is questions.
Best thing.
Yeah. So please send them in.
Hate mail. We need hate mail.
Yeah, we haven't gotten hate mail in a while.
This one was a pretty angry podcast to start. I felt like so maybe we'll get some hate mail.
Maybe. I think this is the earliest we've ever recorded.
Yeah, we're all just salty. It's a Monday morning.
Yeah, we haven't gotten our shit together today. We haven't had a drink or been drinking. All right, most of us.
The royal way.
So that's where you can find us. Please write us in. We love that. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you. Peace.
There's a lot going on here. I'm very distracted.
I know.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. You can find us on all social medias at Inebriart or on Instagram at Inebriart6. You can email us at inebriart@yahoo.com. And make sure you listen to the other podcasts on the Inebriart Podcast Network, including Bar Talk, Old Colony Cast, Retro Redoctopus, America's Hometown Horror Podcast, and our newest one, Theme Park Legends, a podcast about working at theme parks. What else? And we'll catch you again next time.